Hello, welcome to the latest issue. I've touched my head. Latest issue of the Ghostlight Social. You know the score by now. This is the show where we get creative people together. We talk about the industry. We talk about life in lockdown. We talk about all kinds of things, and we raise our hopes and we dash our fears. I would normally at this point introduce Mr. Lee Toombs. We are having a slight technical difficulty with our voice video chat host. So you've just got me for the moment, but that's not a bad thing because I want to talk to you about something, and this is something I very rarely get to talk about because it's a little bit nerdy. And, you know, we talk about theatre and we're very highbrow, and this is very much lowbrow. But I watched the DC Fandom not long ago, a few days ago, and I was mesmerised by Zack Snyder's Justice League panel, if you like. That's what it was. It was a panel. And I think it raised a very interesting question, which is about artistic vision and somebody's right to see their vision through to the end. If you're not aware, Zack Snyder was the director of the Justice League, which was out a couple of years ago, and it kind of flopped a little bit because he left through a family tragedy, which was opportunistic for the studio because they felt that they wanted to emulate their rivals over in the Marvel stuff and try and turn this kind of dark gothic epic into Avengers, which it just isn't. And so they brought in the Avengers director to finish it off, and it was a bit shit. And there was a fan campaign to get that back and to get Zack back and to release his vision of it, and that's been done via HBO Max. And I think it's really interesting that a massive studio like Warner Brothers has got the guts to be able to go back on themselves and go, you know, we were wrong, we'll hold his hands up and we will correct that, and we will give Zack Snyder the ability to finish his vision and not tamper with it. And I think that's a really crucial step in terms of those kind of films, those kind of big box office films, of having the audacity and the balls to be able to just go, there you go, here's 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, make what you want to make, and we trust that. And for far too long there's been too much pandering to what people think are the trends and what these execs think is what people want, and trying to vanillarize artists and make them very middle of the road. And it's something which doesn't sit comfortably with someone like me. Although I'm not Zack Snyder or not at his level, I have got a creative vision and I have got things I want to do, and to have somebody come in and have an input is great. To have somebody vanillarize my work, I think, is a completely different thing. So there we go. We have got Mr. Lee Toombs back. So I'm going to bring him in, and I will stop ranting and filling time. Hello, Lee.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Mike.
Well, I thought that was the thing I was going to share later, but then I thought I'm just going to open the show and rant about Zack Snyder.
Okay, good work. Are we sponsored by Rode these days, or?
Oh, can you see like all the road kit?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go on. Sorry. Go on. Yeah.
I was just gonna say because you can see me on one camera and I'm broadcasting obviously on the other, and that one camera is propped up on a box, and so you don't get to see all the beautiful things that the other people on the call get to see, because it's just my shitty office and it's a right mess.
Oh, I see. I get you. Right. So, so this has been broadcast on your other camera.
Yeah.
You've told me this about a million times before. Listen, Mike. How are we? How are you?
I'm all right. I'm tired.
You're tired?
Yeah,
what are you tired for?
Because I've had a really busy parenting day.
Okay. All right.
My wife will disagree with that because she got up with her 5:30 and I didn't. I got up at 8 o'clock.
All right, fair enough.
But, you know, my wife then went and had 4 hours upstairs on a work call, which probably lasted half an hour, and she spent 3.5 hours just fannying around.
Right.
While I was, like, out entertaining the child in the wilds.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Good. Well, shall we crack on?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do just before we get our guests in, really quickly. I'm going to. Oh, that's the right. I didn't want to do that one. That's not what. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop sharing that. I don't know how that. How did that work? Why isn't? Why? Oh, clearly I'm not going to do that because that's not working properly. I wanted to share just the. Is it the Minack or the Minack Theatre? Because they've been doing, my old boss David Pugh has been doing Educating Rita there.
Oh, Educating Rita, Typhoon 1 Cup. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
if anybody gets that reference, I'll give you a fiver.
It's helpful. What, me?
Anybody of our audience, if they get the reference of Educating Rita, Typhoon 1 Cup, I'll give them a fiver.
All right.
Yeah.
No, that's a challenge. But it's basically a sort of an amphitheatre in the side of on the side of a cliff, and they've been doing
safe?
social. Obviously, it's outside. Yeah, they've got all the correct rigging and all that sort of stuff, so it's absolutely fine.
Imagine it like petering on the edge of a cliff.
But that's one way that theatre's been happening. So that's good. I just wanted to shout to them. You can't go see it; it's completely sold out. But you wouldn't get there anyway, Mike. It's in Devon.
Kimberly Walsh is starting her run. I forget what the musical is. It's Sleepless in Seattle or You've Got Mail. It's one of the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks films.
Tom Ranks.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks.
Who's Tom Ranks?
Hello, Freud. But they're starting in a proper theatre indoors.
Wow. Okay.
I forget the theatre, but it's by Hyde Park, so it's not an old West End theatre. It's a newish theatre, so it's a big, massive place, and they've got a huge outside lobby. So they've kind of taken some seats out. I think they've got a capacity of around 500, and it's a 1,500 seater. So that's starting. So that's
good.
That's nice.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah. Very good. Okay, let's get our guests in. Yeah, I'm sure it's really nice for them. I'm sure she needs the cash. Should we get our guests in?
Yeah.
We're very, very, very lucky to have with us, and I'm so glad they agreed to come on. We have the lovely Lisa Allen and the amazing Joe Standerline. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Hello. Hi, Liz. Hello.
You two, of course, know each other quite well. Good. And we've managed to sort out, or rather, you by yourself have managed to sort out the technical difficulties that you were having, Lisa.
I was having extremely stressful technical difficulties. I couldn't get in.
Were you proper stressed?
I look yellow.
were you getting proper stressed out?
Yeah.
Good. How are you doing? I know we've seen each other relatively recently, Lisa, via Zoom. But how are you doing, Lisa? How's lockdown been for you? And just how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I lost loads of work, like lots of us did when we locked down. But I kind of had a very positive attitude at the beginning. I've had ups and downs, obviously, but I was quite determined that I was going to be all right. So I decided, I'd been on a very long tour. So, and I hadn't had a chance to be at home that often. So I've been writing at home and there's elements of it I've enjoyed, I can't lie, but obviously it's stressful and worrying.
And when you say you were on a long tour, it was a long tour, wasn't it? It was long.
Yes, it was 18 months.
Yeah. But had it finished, or were you due to go on a little bit more?
No, I was in a way, but the actual tour had finished, but I was supposed to be going to India with it, with Horrible Histories. It was Horrible Histories.
Right.
And I did 18 months and then a couple of months off and was meant to go to India. And obviously I couldn't go with COVID. So I didn't get to go to that hotel.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I don't think I'll be going. All the set was there waiting for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They sent everything out there. Wow.
Everything was out there. Yeah.
Gutted. How gutted were you? Were you gutted or were you sort of relieved?
No, I was gutted because I've always wanted to go to India. No, I was gutted about that. But again, you just can't do anything about it, can you? There's no point in going down a negative path with it, really.
Well, you say that. I quite like a negative path every now and again.
Yeah.
Every now and again.
I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that I couldn't change it.
Yeah.
I know it's been difficult. And also, you know what it's like touring, Lee. You just don't get any time to be at home. So, yeah, it's been difficult. But I'd lost other work as well, 6 months of work. But it is what it is,
It is what it is. It's a good attitude to have. Absolutely. Joe, what about yourself? How are you doing? Because I know you have just finished quite a long stint as well.
Yeah,
or had.
My stint had finished. So, I was back at, I was on a 12-month contract with Butlins. That was Panto contract. That had come to an end. And then I went back to Crystal Maze Live Experience Manchester. And then this hit, the letter came a few days later. And I mean, to second what Lisa just said, if you can't control it, don't try and control it. But I think one of the toughest things, you probably, everyone experienced this, is like, how long is this going to go on for? It's, I mean, for me, been one of the lucky ones. I'm back at work now. It's not quite the same, and it won't be the same maybe for a long time. But it was that, right, this is the second month now. Right, we're creeping into the third month now. There was that point, wasn't there? It's like, have our lives as artists changed forever? And we still can't answer that, and it's still a possibility that it has, in a way. Not necessarily for the worst, because we're robust and we're flexible. Well, that's what it says about me on some of the bus stops. But we're still here, aren't we?
We are still here, but you're right. And God, you're both so positive.
I know.
Sorry, Mike. Is Mike having a little cry, Liz?
Yeah, genuinely, that's one of the funniest things I've heard.
We're not usually this positive, though, Mike, are we?
No, I'm going to say, going back to that negative path, and you said, I like a little negative path. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I've worked with you kind of on and off for about 20 odd years, and then more so in the last kind of 5. That negative path is the M62. Jesus.
No, come on. That's not entirely true.
But I think being an actor, you're so used to being out of work. I mean, I've got mates who are on wardrobe and stage managers, and they're in Asda, and they're not. They go from job to job, toe to toe. When you're an actor, it's not unusual to work in Asda.
No, I suppose it is. And actually, to be fair, many actors have lots of other kind of second jobs and other sort of corporate little bits and pieces that have luckily started, like you were saying, Joe, started to drip back in a little bit. So at least there's something there. But yeah, but it is. I mean, we'll probably talk about this. Well, we will talk about this later. But yeah, what this industry is going to look like. I mean, everything is just so up in the air, isn't it? Everything is just Anyway, look, let's jump into some questions. The first one is, what have you got a song for our isolation playlist? Now, Lisa, I know what yours is because you sent it to me.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is it and why?
Half the World Away by Oasis. Now, I do like Oasis, but I'm more of a Stone Roses, Seahorses girl, to be honest. But the reason I chose that is because of the royal family, and because we still quote it in our house. We still talk about wafer thin ham, and also the other reason is Liz Smith. I absolutely love. I'd love to be her by the end of my career, or even just look like her. And Carolina Hearn. I was a stand-up comedian for about 2 minutes about 30 years ago, and I was on the same bill as her. And she was really kind, really lovely to me and my friend who were doing stand-up comedy really badly. And it just reminds me of her, and and the fact she's not here anymore. And I just think it's a brilliant song and a good anthem for the time at the moment, really.
Absolutely. And it holds a special place in my heart because it was the first song I ever learnt to play on the guitar, and I'm still not tired of playing it. No,
it's a beautiful song.
Yeah, it makes me cry.
Yeah.
Even your own playing.
Especially my own playing.
How bad's this?
Especially that.
I've just seen a guitar over his shoulder, Lisa. Do you think that was a setup? It was smooth.
It was, wasn't it? The interesting thing is, as regular viewers will know, that guitar actually never gets played. That's a classical guitar, and the neck is too small for my little hands, so I literally can't play it. So the one I play is downstairs. But anyway, there we go. Mike's got about 7 on his wall up there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
It's a bit dark. I can't.
Oh, don't be showing us that bit. Yeah. But he's a proper guitarist. He plays in bands, or used to play in bands and stuff like that. Wrote music and released music and all that sort of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be cool.
I used to be quite cool. In fact, one of my favourite things that ever happened was a song that I wrote ended up being the theme tune to a Canadian young adult cartoon, which never got past pilot.
But did it not get past pilot because of your song?
Oh no, it was shit. But I always think that's somebody in Canada went, yeah, we'll have that.
Nice work.
But then, judging by the fact that the pilot was terrible and never got made, were their choices really that good?
Exactly. Did they just have terrible taste?
Yeah.
I still haven't got past a young adult cartoon.
I'm not sure what that means either.
Like Family Guy, that kind of thing.
I'm a little sketchy on that. Yeah. Like what?
Like Family Guy, Simpsons, that kind of.
Is that what that
aimed at over 12s.
Mature cartoon.
Yeah. South Park.
Not like that stuff that's on late night. The sort of Japanese stuff.
Anime.
I don't know. Is that what that is? I don't know.
Manga.
Yeah, sort of manga.
Are you talking about the cartoon pornography?
Yeah.
I think we are. I think
that's where we've gone. I think that's where we've gone.
Very quickly. I blame Lisa Allen.
Yeah, I'd just like to say hello to Lee's mum. Thanks for watching, as always.
Hiya, Mum. Nobody's sworn yet, though. She'll be happy.
What? Are we allowed?
Yeah, swear if you like.
We're all adults.
Yeah.
Fine.
Joe, what have you got for us?
Oh, music?
Yeah.
I've been getting obsessed with Lizzo lately because, I kind of swim around in the 1970s cocktail bar in my head most of the time. But she just grabs me every time I hear something by her. So the one that it's like screamy and passionate, and what's it called? I'm Crying Because I Love You. Have you heard that?
Don't know.
Oh, well,
right,
sorry for being a little bit too current for you guys. Don't.
It's a little bit Radio 6, that, isn't it?
I'm in my mum's kitchen. I can get a pair of spoons out of the drawer and give you a
She wouldn't mind.
if you like.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It's passionate, it's guttural, and it feels like grief, but it's also a celebration of how much you desperately love someone. And it ain't just about people you're kissing, is it? It's about people that you can't see, and people that you need to see. And, that's usually family, isn't it? And just unprecedented, I think, for our generation. Isn't it the first time we've gone through this wartime experience where, for the good of people's health, lives even, you have to do as you're told and not see the people that you're in love with or that you need to see. And that, Lizzo, I'm Crying, pretty sure it's called I'm Crying Because I Love You, gets all of that. And it's also joyous. So Mike won't like it. Well, no, Mike will like it. Lee won't like it.
I like an impassioned, guttural, screamy song. I'm very much into it. I spent last night listening to Nirvana for the first time in a little bit.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm down with it.
Good. Well, luckily, Lisa and I have prepared a short set of screaming.
Cocktail bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, good. So I'm Crying Because I Love You.
I'm damn sure that's what it's called. That sounds like I'm not sure, but yeah, because I can't play it, can I? Because you'd have to do copyright things. Let me just have a. I'm not checking my phone. I am.
No, that's fine. I'll find it. It reminds me It reminds me of a song because in a previous life I used to run nightclubs, and in a nightclub that I ran in London, we had Peaches, Bob Geldof's daughter.
Yeah.
Peaches Geldof, and she had a song at the time. Sorry, Mum. She had a song at the time called "Fuck the Pain Away."
Yeah.
And that was an interesting, screamy, guttural song. Let me tell you.
That's not very Christmassy, though, is it, Lee?
Not particularly.
It's called "Cuz I Love You."
Cuz.
Back to me for a minute. We weren't talking about me. Cuz, C-U-S-Z. I'm reliably informed. Can't spell to save my life. I've just checked it. Yeah. "Cuz I love you, you guttural beast."
Cuz I love you.
Excellent. Well, them two are definitely going on. There's not that much Oasis on, actually. I thought there might be a little bit more. Is that only the second Oasis song, Mike?
I think it might be, which is surprising considering, you know, I mean, there's been some millennials on here, but we all seem to be Gen X, essentially. So you'd think 90s music would be quite predominant, but
I don't really know what Gen X means. What is that?
So that's our generation.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
We are Generation X.
Okay. Why is that? Why are we Generation X?
Because we were born between 1968 and 1979 or 1980.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
I'll take that. I'm actually outside of that bracket, but nobody knows.
Are you outside of it, the good side or the wrong side?
1981.
I'll take that, Mike. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's clean living and a really strong life.
Looking good.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's some good makeup.
I have an embrocation and a powerful ring light. It's all you need.
Yeah, I've no doubt. I've no doubt that it is.
The ring of light.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. So sticking with you then, Joe. What's the most coronavirus thing that you've done that you wouldn't have done normally, but you did because of lockdown or not being able to, like you say, see your loved ones?
I dressed up as a lady and made videos.
But isn't that what you do anyway?
I can't. Right, it's confession time.
All right.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a technical person, Lee, and I didn't really know much about
You should speak to Lisa. Lisa's really good with tech.
I'm amazing.
Really, yeah. I should have asked you, which buttons I should have pressed. So, more than anything, I got asked. That was it. It's a panto thing, and I got asked to do a bit of promo for the theatre that I might still be working in, and so I kind of went to my little storage place, which is in the attic, took some frocks out and sat there and released the beast, as it were, and just recorded a short video. And then over the next couple of days, it whispered. It just haunted me, and I thought, I've got all of these sequins and feathers and stuff bursting out of like vacuum bags in the corner, so let's do something with it. So Nurse Nora Bone and series that Blue Wake has arrived, and it's it was all right for a first attempt editing wise, and that was the point of it. Got some attention, and it was it's one of those, it was part, oh my god, one day I'm so gorgeous and gifted and talented, and then I wake up the next day and feel brutally ashamed of what I've just sent out into the world.
And she has a Twitter account. Is this right?
She has a Twitter account. She does. Don't ask me what it is. I thought it's like Nora. She is Nora, but it is Nora Bone. I'll have a little look. She's turned into. I mean, she's always lived inside me anyway, in some capacity, because of like 20 odd years of panto and the slightly different versions of these characters that we create and live with. We've all got them, haven't we? And but because it's been alive for so long, it sort of feels a bit real when I'm going to swear, actor's wank, but we have to sometimes because it's part of the process. So the answer to that question is, I think the most coronavirus thing I did was that, including hanging out of the window of my house to catch to do like an outside shot with, people walking past, driving past, judging, being very much afraid, because it only really works in that context, doesn't it? When you've framed it and you've put it together and you put it in its special place out on the internet, that's fine. But when you're actually on Zion Terrace hanging out of the window looking like that, it's two worlds colliding. So
To be fair, it's probably not the weirdest thing that people have seen as they've been walking around during.
Yeah,
might have been.
Yeah, probably. It's a bit weird for me because I usually keep all of that kind of on stage, in that place. But
well, while I'm asking Lisa the same question, would you mind bobbing that in the chat, the Twitter handle in the chat, and then Mike can put it up, can't you, Mike?
Oh, yes. Sure, thank you. Yeah, I'll find it. Here she is.
And all the videos are on there, I assume, or links to them.
They're all on YouTube, but the links to them will be on the Twitter account. Oh, I've got it here. Shall I put it in the chat thing?
Yeah, do that, and then Mike can bob it up.
How do I do the chat?
Oh, I don't know. Click chat, something like that. Yeah.
I've got it.
So, Lisa, same question. Most coronavirus thing you've done?
Well, I don't even know if it's a coronavirus thing, but I went on a coronavirus train, because that's what I call it anyway, because it was when everything was locking down, and I was due in Wales to shoot a film, and it was right at that time when everyone was raiding supermarkets and just waiting for the announcement of being kept in, and the whole world was locking down, and it was like, are they going to stop? Everything was shutting down, wasn't it, in the industry? And it was like, am I going to shoot this film? Am I not? And then they said, yeah, you've got to come to Cardiff. So I got on this train to Cardiff, and there literally was nobody on it. It's certainly nobody in my carriage, which is just completely unheard of, apart from some girl who was sitting staring at me like I was diseased from about five chairs away. And all the way to Cardiff, there was no one apart from this guy with a refreshment trolley, and it obviously had like a as he was kind of pushing it up and down the aisles, and no one was buying any food because they all thought the food was diseased, and it was like, it was really eerie, and it was like the train version of the hotel in The Shining. Except there was him and his trolley rather than the kid on the tricycle.
Yeah.
And so I felt really sorry for him, and I bought a packet of Quavers from him. And obviously, when he came to take the packet away, he sprayed down the seats. He sprayed everything, apart from me. But then he insisted that I covered all my hands in disinfectant.
What did he spray it down with?
It was like a sprayed disinfectant. He sprayed
okay.
the floor, he sprayed the empty Quavers packet, he sprayed the window, the chairs, the floor, and he was in a mask.
When was this? What date was this, roughly? Where?
It was definitely early March.
Right, okay.
And it was weird, and I knew I had to go and do it, but even on the platforms, because they hadn't even said about the 2 meters, so nobody was standing next to anyone. And when I got there, all the crew didn't know whether to socially distance or not. It was.
Well, that amazes me, because the government was so very clear about what we should do, weren't they, from the very beginning? I'm really surprised.
But just before, when all the rumours were starting in the press, it was just awful. No one was out. Do you remember everyone was saying? Just me on this train to Cardiff, and it was just odd. And I would never want to do that again. Really the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been on public. Has anybody else been on public transport since?
No. Yeah, and that's weird. On a train last week, that was weird.
Were you going to do another job?
No, we're just going to Manchester with my daughter, but we were in masks, and some people on the train weren't in masks, and there was no conductors, and again, eerie. It's just very weird. I wouldn't be wanting to go on public transport to work every day. Oh no. But a lot of people are doing, aren't they?
Yeah. Certainly. Well, they've got to do, haven't they? I mean, it's yeah. Okay. So, what have I done here? What's that? What does that say?
That says question 3.
Yeah, I know it does, but I can't read it. I can't remember what that is. Right, so I'll just skip that. I'll tell you what I will ask. Here we go. Height of lock, because we're talking about lockdown. So height of lockdown. How many toilet rolls did you have, Lisa? You absolutely hammered it, didn't you?
Is this going to be a Champions League place?
Is this going to be a big one?
Got to be about 100.
Oh, wow! How many?
I was going to be 2 like bumper packs.
And how many's in a bumper pack?
I think 48. And maybe some others.
What do you mean, maybe some others? So you had
96.
You had 2 bumper packs of 96, and then you were also snaffling the 4 and 6 packs, weren't you?
I didn't snaffle them. They were bought on separate occasions. I didn't know that there were already some.
Oh, so you just happened to think, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll buy 150 toilet rolls.
Yeah.
Is that standard though?
It's standard in our house. We whipped through it very quickly. We're vegetarian.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, we had somebody not long ago who was like 97, 98. Who was that? Was that Alice? Alice Nutter?
Possibly. Alice did have a lot.
Right,
it was
well,
round.
Be aligned with Alice Nutter. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was very much around the same sort of mark.
I didn't think we'd get that one beat. I thought that because that was way ahead. I mean, the next one down's Dominic, who was 55. Like 55.
Yeah. So big jump.
Yeah.
So you and Alice Nutter are in a league of your own at the minute.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Man City, Dominic, he's Man United.
A trophy of some kind.
Possibly, but having said that, you haven't given us your answer, Joe.
Well, I just ordered an extra basket of kittens, Lee, to be honest. I'm a huge star. I had some in.
Yeah.
I like the wet ones. You know, that's probably the most luxurious thing that I have in my life.
Something a bit moist.
Yeah. Not too moist. A bit more. Yeah. I think I've made it when I've remembered to buy that from the supermarket. I mean, I had a few, but I had a mate who was struggling to get some. And
you know why?
Yeah, I can see the reason why there. Is she on the same place?
I don't know. She's round here somewhere.
There she is. The prize winner. So no, I'm afraid I'm not very impressive there. I had a few, got a few more, but only about 8.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
I think that's fair enough. We were the same.
I mean, it's relegation form, but it's fine.
Yeah. I'm not in charge of the shopping either, so
right.
Wasn't a priority. Not when you've got small animals. Let's change the subject. Let's do that. Although, Lisa, are you ashamed, or is there any shame at all?
Well, I recycle.
You recycle toilet paper?
Well, the inner tube.
It's a start.
Never about recycling. You could build a rocket with the amount of bloody inner tubes you've had.
We built rockets. I have a child.
Excellent. Okay. So just one more question, Lisa, before we move on. Where do you keep these toilet rolls? Where do you keep 150 toilet rolls?
Garage.
In the garage?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You can't fit a car in, presumably.
No.
Oh.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. As long as you sleep at night, Lisa, that's the main thing. Okay. So we would talk. Oh, what was the last thing? So getting back to the industry, what was the last thing, Joe, you said to a live audience?
Oh God.
Well, I'm pretty lucky, really, because it was yesterday, and I think it was something along the lines of you've been amazing. I've been Mr. Mary. All you have to do now is get on TripAdvisor and tell the whole world about me. It was something in that direction. It's my maze show, so it was an audience of 8, which is why I've been able to go back and get this job, because it's allowed, and it worked.
Yeah, fair enough. And as far as theatre is concerned, or film, what was the last thing you said or did?
Are we counting self-tapes here?
No.
I did. I've had a little marathon of them lately.
Oh,
No one's asked for them. I just thought.
Just sent them in.
Yeah. Oh, what did I film last time? No, sorry, I can't remember the last big live audience line. Nah. Lisa, what's yours?
It was as Margaret Thatcher.
Excellent. What was the line?
Nice.
Where there is discord, we bring harmony.
Oh, that's tremendous. I wanted to kill you. So, that's
I wanted to kill you.
That's fantastic. Is that in Horrible Histories?
No, it was at Derby Theatre working on a new play about the life of Dennis Skinner.
Yeah.
Thatcher is absolutely wonderful. Oh, what a joy, especially after Horrible Histories having gone on for so long, as wonderful as it was. Just such a change, and playing her. Yeah, did a lot of work on her. Oh, yeah.
Did you? Did the voice just come really naturally, or did you put a hell of a lot? And let's have the honest answer and not the actor answer that sort of goes, oh yes. Well, I studied many hours of footage and
spitting image.
No, it did come fairly easily, only because I used to do impressions as a child, and she was one of them that I did. So she was always sort of kind of in my bag anyway, but that was a child's version. So I did have to. I watched a lot of footage.
Oh,
yeah,
like,
and it was just wonderful.
Was that a costumed piece? Or did you say that was the reading of the R&D, or did you actually get to
sharing in front of an audience as they're developing it? And that was meant to, potentially happen, but obviously due to COVID, here we go again. So
yeah.
But it's going to be a nice piece, and Derby Theatre is wonderful.
I saw something on Twitter the other day which absolutely just made my day, and it was Gillian Anderson, who's in the latest series of The Crown, playing Margaret Thatcher, and there's a still image of her going round in the House of Commons delivering a speech, and somebody had just put, "This is the most challenging wank I will ever have."
Oh, I think I saw that. I saw
that. Brilliant.
Because somebody else had put, "So I fancy Margaret Thatcher now."
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well.
Oh, imagine that on your poster.
Oh, have you had that on your poster a few times, Joe?
Not yet. I'll watch your Twitter closely, Lee. See if I can lift it.
Brilliant. Okay. So we were talking about before. Let's talk about this first. So we started to sort of talk about the industry and what it might look like as we move, hopefully, touch wood, post COVID. But what are your hopes and fears, Lisa? I'll stick with you.
I think I hope that it's going to become, as a consequence, more accessible. I think so. My husband said right at the very start of the pandemic, I think it'll go back to the market square, a lot of it. And and obviously I feel so privileged to have worked in those theatres, as I know you did on Full Monty, Lee. 50 of them throughout that tour, and they're beautiful. And my heart bleeds for the staff teams. But I do hope that it can become more accessible, because even to take my daughter to the Alhambra, which we played, it's the best part of 80 quid. And I'd love to see stuff out on the streets, red ladder type stuff. Just being brought back to the people. I think that's something that may come in, and more accessible for communities and more diverse as a consequence of what's happened.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that theatre because of a consequence of this, theatre will go out more. And obviously Red Ladder and Slung Low, and there's a long history of theatre companies that do this very, very well. And I pray that continues. But I think most theatre companies and theatre buildings we'll be looking at this now and going, right, we can no longer, or we can't open our doors, so let's get into small communities. I'd love to see a truck pull up in Methley where I live, and just the sides drop down and something just happen. I mean, everybody would just take going into Gipton and doing the same thing, or wherever it might be around Leeds, and Manchester and everywhere. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it has to, and it's started. It started.
Yeah, and become affordable,
Well, yeah, affordable, and in many cases possibly free.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Rod, I think was it Rod that was saying that one of the as an actor, one of the tours that he did was in Greece. Was it Rod saying that? I can't remember. I think it was Rod. Yeah. And he was saying that that essentially it was paid for by the local councils in Greece, and they just pulled up to the village square or the town square, and they just did it. And there were people hung out of windows and sort of on lampposts and stuff like that. And maybe that's where we're going. That they have to use the funding in some way. Pray it continues, and that's a good way of doing it.
Because I was cast in a piece that was called Under the Market Roof with Liz Stevenson, who's the AD at Theatre by the Lake, who's absolutely brilliant. And she has a company called Junction 8. And I fell and broke my foot, so I couldn't play the role. But I did go to watch it to support them. And it was literally in a market square, and all the little shops all the way around served food while you sat there, and there were umbrellas up. And it was just beautiful. It was so lovely. So I would, and I'd like to just see more work with communities. I would.
Yeah. And I agree with you about it will break my heart if I don't get to work in those lovely theatres again. But those days may be over. They may be over. And just to echo what you said about the people that work there, the staff in these theatres, because Twitter, as far as some of those things are concerned, is getting an ugly place, because people have just, and rightly so, very, very bitter. They're all losing their jobs, while we've got chief execs and whoever else, and I'm not going to get into the political aspect of it, but it just doesn't seem right somehow. Joe, anything to add to that?
It could be the end, but we're robust, back to robust and flexible. It's going digital, and has gone digital, and it's going immersive, isn't it? It's easier to manage an immersive performance than it is like crowding people into seats next to each other for the time being. But there's a lot of brilliant and gifted and amazing life-saving scientists that are heading towards a vaccine. So I know that financially theatres are closing left, right and centre, but as long as they don't knock those buildings down, as long as there are still seats and lights and a stage in there, I think something will resurrect. But for the time being, it's this, and it's intimate, it's small live spaces, isn't it? And and exactly, Lise, few people that I know can spare 80 quid to take their family out to see a show, and I'm always aware of that even on panto contracts. The family deals are still very expensive, and it's something the family has to save up for. And it's a profession, everyone needs paying, and the money's got to come from somewhere. But finding a different model, and this could be the catalyst for it, couldn't it?
But the new writings that's come out of this is I know, doing a positive and not on your negative path again, which we will do. But oh my God, the new writing.
It's okay. I'm really happy that you're going down this line, because in a moment I'm going to start mocking everyone. So that's it's sort of it's a natural transition into it.
Yeah. This is false sense of security. Now, you want to Lisa Allen won a prize for her writing lately.
No, she didn't. What?
She
What?
did.
Well, I know that. I know that she did. I just don't want to mention it.
Oh,
What prize did we win, Lisa? Tell us about that.
yeah, the prize was for a professional actor to read my work.
Oh, was I not available?
No, but I was.
No, it was a cracking piece. I loved it.
Yeah. I just wrote a monologue and entered it into a brilliant competition at the Octagon about a night out in Bolton, and in the 80s. So it was all there, rotational snogs in high heel blisters, and
brilliant.
You know,
and this was part of was it the Stories of Bolton or the Bolton? Yeah. What was it called? Was it called Stories of Bolton?
One Night in Bolton.
One Night in Bolton. Yeah.
And they're all online, and there's some really lovely pieces. So it's just really nice writing. But like, again, having the time to write was really nice.
Yeah. Joe, how many sitcoms have you written during lockdown?
Oh yeah. There's a good few. I got offered one actually, just as lockdown was coming down. But it's one of those super secret things that we can't talk about.
Okay.
It's supposed to be shooting in, early next year. So I didn't have to write that one, thankfully. Right. Somebody else has written that one. Okay. But yeah, because I used to write a lot. I used to adapt a lot of novels into stage plays for quite a few highbrow publishers. It's one of those, you might have noticed, now we're X generation, that your career has like chunks to it. There's like, this is when I was doing loads of writing, and this is when I was doing like small scale touring. This is when I was doing, and there was a period of time I was very much a writer, and that went. Possibly because I'd just written everything out of me and hadn't lived enough to fill the tank up again. So yeah, back to a bit of that. Not that I've like chucked it out anywhere. I don't want to disrespect the people that have experienced genuine grief and sadness over this horrible challenge that we're all having to face, but we've all fallen into that pattern of what am I doing today, and I've got this to do tomorrow, and where do I need to be, and what do I have to pay, and is there enough coming in, and all of that balancing. And all of a sudden there's 3 months just to be what you are and who you are. And it actually took a while to work that out. When you're actually just there taking care of yourself and looking after your own time, and it's like, do I still want to do it? And thankfully, yes. I'm not doing it because I have to do it. I'm doing this because I've got some stories and I want to have a laugh and I want to play. And that's reassuring, isn't it? Because you guys are doing this, and it's the same thing. You've got stories and you want to play and you're communicating, and it's going to happen anyway. And for me, it's reassuring and affirming professionally that we're not just doing this to get the bills paid. Lucky that we can. Yeah. But there's more to us than that, isn't there?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And when we first, I think it was interesting that when we first sort of started lockdown, there was this sort of flurry of activity from actors, especially, who were just doing monologues, just writing monologues, putting them out on social media, and you're sort of going, oh my God, it was like in the first 3 weeks, I couldn't watch another fucking monologue. It was just like, you know what I mean? It was like, you're trying to support your friends. But then and I mocked quite regularly, with tongue in cheek. And I was, castigated for it.
It was like Junction 26 of the negative M62.
Yeah, it was. It was jealousy more than anything. But then I genuinely sort of realised that this was my throwing monologue out. This was my, talking to people, and without it seeming, monologues just make me cringe a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And that's just a personal.
Come with you. I will join you on your negative path where monologues are concerned. I will not be positive about monologues.
I told you I'd get her. I told you I'd get her.
Oh God, awful fucking monologue.
Dirty limericks are good because they're short and they're funny.
Love a limerick, yeah. Throw a 10-second joke in there. More than happy.
Even a duologue.
Even a duologue, yeah. Although, to be fair, and I have told this story before, but you haven't heard it. Somebody contacted me and said, I've put this sort of sitcom together, like a socially distanced sitcom, where you just you record your piece and I just edit it all together. If I send you the script, would you record it for me? And I was like, yeah, of course I will. Why not? So they sent it through, and there was just this little thing about this goldfish, and it was whatever it was. Anyway, so I sent her the tape back. She never fucking used it. I know. Talk about a review. Never contacted
you sold your soul. You sold your soul.
Yeah.
You poor little thing. Do you think it was an adult cartoon, Mike?
With a goldfish, it could well have been.
Somebody's using it somewhere.
Well, good luck to him.
Is this somebody known? I mean, would I know this person, or is this somebody who's? Did you know him?
No, I didn't know them. No.
Would you feel comfortable in just naming them and shaming them?
I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember who it is. If I can find the stuff again, I'll.
You just feel dirty. You feel dirty after that, don't you? You just think.
Well, you do. You just you've just prostituted myself essentially. Yeah.
And worse than monologue is monologue competitions where you lose.
And then you look at the one that won and you go, oh my God.
Who's judging this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's monologues. Good. So industry, back to the proper industry. Let me just quantify that for a second. What I do accept though is that like you were saying before, Lisa, about actors especially, we're used to being out of work, we're used to sitting around, and often we get that feeling of being disconnected from the industry. When you haven't had a job for a while and you just feel like, what am I doing wrong? How do I connect? I've got to get out there. And I know that there are so many people, and really good, talented people who just never get a look in for one reason or another, whatever it might be. And to know how they feel so disconnected at a time like this, when everybody's disconnected, when you literally can't speak to anybody because they're all furloughed, they're not allowed to speak to you and all the rest of it. I totally understand why people grab at, any kind of artistic endeavor in order to feel connected to the. Having said that, just don't do any more monologues. So back to the industry. Joe, I'll stick with you. What a favourite moment? Just something that you kind of go, oh, I'll never forget that.
Like ever in the world?
An industry moment. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, steady on.
Right, I need a name dropping permission here because it's.
No, you ask for permission after you drop the name.
Oh dear. Oh, okay. Right. Well, Judy Garland and I happened to be having tea.
Hang on a minute. No, there is a name drop, and then there's a name drop.
Well, not far off, because it was the Lowry, it was Wizard of Oz, I was your Tin Woodsman, and Lorna Luft was our witch, which is, if you're not a kind of Judy Garland person or a gay man, then maybe you wouldn't. Lorna Luft is Judy Garland's daughter, and Judy is in this show, and we're there like doing our rehearsing. Thankfully, Clan, I just dropped something here. I knew Lorna anyway from like years gone by, and something else that we did. But then we are doing our bit of rehearsing, right? And the choreographer's there, and we really wanted to get certain bits exactly like the movie. And we couldn't quite remember like the sequence and the lineup of this particular bit on the Yellow Brick Road. So, maybe you're not supposed to put the DVD on in a rehearsal room, but we did. And Judy's there like skipping down this Yellow Brick Road, and we're watching this sequence. And I just had this massive showbiz moment because her daughter's like standing right here next to me. Kind of like, what do you think? And I'm going, just realised what I'm doing. I'm going to have a little sit down. So that because I don't get hugely show busy very often, but that was pretty show busy. It was though. Wasn't it? Can I name drop in this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I did. Yeah, that for me is up there, a feeling right proper. Yeah.
Really?
I do have a touch of the imposters about me sometimes. That bit of a, oh, well, I got through the audition, I'm here, but that.
Yeah, I've got to get found out.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, someone's going to find me out.
Do a bit, yeah. One day. I'm hanging on there. It's been a few decades.
Love it. Okay, Lisa?
Well, mine slightly involves Judy Garland.
Does it?
Bloody royalty tonight, isn't it? Got slightly because I always had a dream to work at Manchester Palace, because I've worked the Opera House a couple of times, but I hadn't ever worked the Palace. And when I was little, my granny used to say, I went to see Judy Garland at Manchester Palace, and she did her set, and then she kicked her shoes off, and she sat on the edge of the stage, and she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And she used to say to me, one day, Lisa, you'll be on that stage. And of course, obviously, Granny passed away years ago, and nothing happened. So when we were doing Horrible Histories, and I got the schedule, and it said Manchester Palace, it's a huge thing for me. And there's a bit at the end of Horrible Histories, because there was only myself and two guys in it doing all of the Tudors and all the Egyptians. Very fast-paced, huge show, 3D effects and all sorts. But there's a scene at the end where I'm playing Elizabeth I, and I'm sitting in the middle of the stage, and all these images of dead kings are flying past, and there's this huge monologue that I'm doing. And it's a lovely moment to play, especially those theatres when there's 2,000 people in. And my mum came to watch it, and so that my mum has only just very recently, she's watching this tonight, my mum. And
hello, Lisa's mum.
Hello.
Called Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
Good Joyce.
Sorry about all the swearing and talking
Yeah,
dirty.
but it's your daughter's fault.
You won't mind. So it was a big thing for Mum. She's having a rubbish time at the moment. She's only recently been just diagnosed with motor neuron, so we're having a difficult time at the moment. But she still talks about this, that she came watching it and saw me on this stage, and she always says, and you could hear a pin drop. So when I came out of the stage door after, and she was her eyes were filled with tears, and she did the fantastic backhanded compliment that only you can do. She said, well, I knew you were good, but I didn't think you were that good.
Nice one, Joyce. Nice one, Joyce.
And just that. I mean, what can you say? I lost my dad years ago, and like I say, Granny, because the Manchester Palace for me is where they always took me to see Jesus Christ Superstar and George from the Technicolor Dreamcoat. So for me, working there that's better than playing the West End for me, So yeah, that's my moment that I'll keep with me forever, I think.
No, it's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And it's very interesting because I think, my wife always says that I don't have a romantic bone in my body. When it comes to things like that,
Yeah.
not necessarily relationship things, but because I don't sort of crave to work anywhere or so, and I would like to. It would like to have that sort of romantic notion of doing that. And interestingly, you and a couple of other people, the only people that I've ever heard speak like that, also speak about Manchester theatres in that way. So there's obviously something as you're growing up, or maybe in the past, and hopefully it will be in the future, of going to the theatre in Manchester and having those experiences as kids. So yeah, it's beautiful, really nice.
When you were Tolly and doing all those theatres, which one did you connect with the most? Which did you like to play?
Which theatre?
Ponty, yeah.
Probably the Gaiety, Dublin.
Oh, right.
But so I'm gonna contradict myself here because I think the other one was Leeds Grand. It was just really lovely. It was really lovely to be at Leeds Grand. So I guess there is something about that. Although to be fair, as a child, I never went to the Grand. We went to City Varieties, and obviously I've played City Varieties a couple of times, and that's quite nice. So yeah, maybe I do. But what about some of the others? Which others stick out for you, Lisa?
Plymouth Theatre Royal. It's huge, isn't it? It's like 2,300 or something, and they're having a terrible time. But that was a beautiful theatre. Brighton Theatre Royal, I absolutely loved. Again, old ornate Pross Arch.
Yeah.
And there's so many. They tend to be the old ones, really. And you know, it's like backstage in those places as well. You you're kind of making your way from your dressing room, and you're faced with a massive image of Richard Burton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh my God! And I can honestly say, I didn't wish. There was about 389 performances we did in the end, and I didn't wish any of them away. And every single time I stepped out of my dressing room and took a foot on that stage, I knew the significance of it. And I'm so glad I did, because I've worked with actors who just wish it away, you know.
Me too.
Hand down performances, and I've never been able to sort of wrap my head around that. You know, it's
well, there is a saying, isn't there, that nobody mourns more than an actor in work.
Yeah, I suppose so. But there's many who don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I try not to.
Collective noun is a moan of actors, isn't it?
Is it really?
Well, it is now.
I like it.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is now.
I wrote that in my sitcom, Lee.
A moan of actors.
Very
I'm
good.
going to build a monologue around it.
A little in joke there for the acting fraternity. Yeah. Good, marvelous. Look, it's cracking on, and we could carry on talking all night because I think we might have a whole new feature on favourite theatres.
Yeah.
Because I could go on a roll.
I think I've only ever played two.
Go on.
So City Varieties and Wakefield Theatre Royal are my two in my very short acting career.
Oh,
That's
they're
gorgeous.
nice, though.
Yeah.
Wakefield
of it-
Theatre Royal is a lovely theatre. Lovely theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still want to know what the Typhoon one bag is.
Oh, the what was it?
Educating Rita.
Educating Rita Typhoon One Cup. It's a Victoria Wood. It was Julie Walters. She had that was her line in something, but it was a Victoria Wood and Julie Walters thing.
Right. I can sleep now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Nobody
so
in the chat either, so nobody gets a fiver. You can all bollocks.
Okay.
Oh.
Fair
I
enough.
want to spend it on a KFC.
Toilet roll. I would buy more toilet roll.
Clearly, you don't need to buy toilet roll. You must still have about 50 left.
Take it up to 100.
Yeah. Okay. So, final question to you both: What was your biggest vice during lockdown?
Vice.
Vice.
Toilet roll.
No. That's a necessity, Mike.
She's using an entire roll every time. Just like, rah. 6 flushes. Come on.
Come on, vices.
Oh,
Lisa, what's your?
smoking again.
Oh, do you?
It's you.
But not smoking again, but just the odd one.
Okay. Oh, you're blaming that on lockdown.
And an obsession with Succession. I don't know if you've ever watched it.
No. Everybody says it's amazing.
Oh, it's amazing.
Mm.
Cigarettes and Succession.
And the dude from the only reason this popped in is it came on the Now TV, like an advert for it. And this guy from Ferris Bueller, you know, the guy is Mangy Mate. He's in it, and he's amazing, and he should be in like more stuff.
What? Bada, swing bada.
Yeah.
Yeah, the geeky one.
Yeah.
I didn't actually put that together that was him. He's he's very method.
He's one of those actors who he kind of pops up every now and again. He was in Young Guns 2 as well, and he was amazing in Young Guns. I love
Classic.
Young Guns. Yeah,
It is.
I love the Young Guns films. I had a conversation on Twitter, and I'm digressing, about what if I could direct any film. If you know Hollywood came knocking and said, "What do you want to do?" I would do a Billy the Kid movie. I would do a Billy the Kid Western.
All right, I thought you were going to say Young Guns.
Yeah,
I
well,
did
Young Guns is a Billy the Kid movie.
Well, I suppose it is. I suppose.
But I would do like a full on Sergio Leone western, but it'd be Billy the Kid. I
Right.
love that story. Anyway,
Very good.
that was that.
Okay, so Succession and Smoking and Succession, which
not
actually.
smoking anymore. I just had one or two. So I'm
all
not.
right,
One or two.
all right. The lady protests too much.
Yeah,
20
20
you like
Marlboro
that?
just by side it.
Yeah. It's a good title for a play, though, isn't it?
Cigarettes in succession,
Yeah.
like shopping and fucking.
I suppose is that one of those adult cartoon things?
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it?
Could be.
I think
okay.
it's my vice.
Yeah. Come on, Joe. What have you got? What have you got?
Oh, do you know? I mean, online shopping I got a little bit stuck on until I realised I didn't have any money left. I think for the first time, I started to put a bit of pressure on myself with I was going to put some output video-wise every week for this YouTube gubbins, thinking I'm going to make $1 million after, a fortnight.
Yeah.
And the pressure got a bit much, and then I got some online work to do, and there was one morning, and it was about 2 a.m. when I started shooting all of this Nora stuff, and it went on and on and on, and I kind of saw this bottle of vodka in the cupboard, and I don't think I've ever kind of done anything that's worky and got pissed. But vodka and grapefruit juice and Nurse Nora Bone kind of had a dangerous chemistry.
Okay. What I'm
That was a first.
Yeah, what I'm interested in that sentence that you just said was you don't think you've ever got drunk on a work thing. Is that? I mean, is there some doubt?
There was a hangover.
There's always a hangover show.
Yeah, but
It's
it was probably still really drunk hangover, but never that I've deliberately, consciously gone, ooh, I'll just have a little tipple of this before I go on and do this job. It's something that thankfully I've managed to avoid. But, I was at home, the kitchen cupboard was there.
Yeah.
I had another 3 or 4 hours to go. And unfortunately, it kind of helped. It was good. It was good.
Maybe you're onto something there. Maybe you're onto something.
A lot of people have started drinking in lockdown because a woman on the till at Marks and Spencer's on Saturday,
Swigging on a bottle of whiskey.
she took my bottle of French rosé and went, "Oh, that looks nice." I didn't used to drink until I went into lockdown. Right. Okay. So that can be rare. There must be other people who've
Massively.
drinking. Yeah.
We ask this of all our guests, and I would say 80% of them, if not more, it is alcohol. All the alcohol.
Oh no, I already drank.
Yeah, so it's no different. It's no different. But it is that there is something about the first couple of weeks of lockdown where you go, oh, I'm on holiday. This is great. Yeah. So you just drink whatever you've got.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Look, it's cracking on, and it's been so lovely to speak to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know we've not physically met before, Joe, so it's been lovely to meet you and speak to you, and obviously lovely as always to see you, Lisa. Love to you both. Stay safe and well. We will finish the show off, so feel free to log off, and I'll catch up with you later.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. It's been a joy.
Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
That was nice.
Really lovely.
Yeah.
Really lovely. I'm
Funny
glad.
as well. Unusual for us.
Funny, unusual for us to be funny.
Yeah, for there to be humour in the show. We're usually very highbrow and sophisticated.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. You need to watch a few of the highlights, I reckon.
Yeah, do you know? I was thinking the other day, I should really go through some and like edit a best of. So next time when you text me at 3:00 and when you need to put out a re-recorded show because I'm not going to be home, I'll have a best of to put out rather than just replay a whole thing.
Well, there's plenty of episodes to go at. Good. So glad we managed to get live again this evening. Same again next week.
Do you know who's coming on?
Anything to finish up? Well, yeah, I sort of do and I sort of don't. So I'm not going to say. We'll just keep an eye on social media.
Yeah. It's normal because we're really shit at promoting it.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Please like, subscribe, all that, and have a look back at the highlights of other shows. So many good shows, so many good people. I will get round to putting some more podcasts out. I'm unbelievably busy. Unbelievably from the point of view of I'm really busy, and it is unbelievable that I'm actually busy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool.
Wicked. So that wraps another issue of the Ghostlight Social. Thank you for joining us. As always, as Lisa, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all those things on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube, because it really helps us out. Go on to iPod Touch, Gen XMR, iTunes, and give us a thumbs up on there, 5-star review,
absolutely,
and all that nonsense. But that is it for another episode. Thank you once again. Roll the credits.